Welcome back to Master 79. In this lesson we will build a Band 9 answer for an ielts writing task 1 table, step by step, reading the data, brainstorming, planning, and then the full essay. Here is the task. The table below shows employment patterns for males and females in New Zealand in 1993 and 2003. Summarize the information by selecting and reporting the main features, and make comparisons where relevant. Notice the two instructions hidden in that wording: select and compare. You are not asked to describe everything. This is the data. 6 sectors down the side and 4 columns. The female and male shares in 1993 and the same 2 shares in 2003. Before writing a single word, check the arithmetic. Each of the 4 columns adds up to 100. That tells you these are percentages of each workforce, not numbers of people, and it protects you from a very common error. So how do you read a table like this? Work across the years first, then across the sexes. Anchor yourself on the biggest figure in each column: 53 and 38 in 1993, 36 and 31 in 2003. Then ask 2 questions of every sector. Which direction did it move? And did the 2 sexes move the same way? Finally, group the sectors that behave alike. Listing all 6 in table order is a Band 6 habit. Now brainstorm 1 column per year. In 1993, the 2 workforces are sharply segregated. Over half of all working women are in services and transport, while agriculture is the biggest male employer at 38%. Business is almost nothing for either sex, and no women at all work in building. By 2003, the picture has converged. Services and transport falls for women and rises for men. Agriculture collapses for men. Business becomes the number 2 sector for both. And building and social services are still gendered, but much less so. The overview is where bands are won and lost. 2 rules. First, no figures at all. Numbers belong in the body paragraphs. Second, 2 sentences. 1 for the dominant trend, 1 for the exception. Here the dominant trend is convergence, and the exception is that building stays male-dominated while social services stays female-leaning. Here is the plan. Paragraph 1, a 1-sentence paraphrase of the prompt. Paragraph 2, the overview. Paragraph 3, the 2 old strongholds: services and transport, and agriculture. Paragraph 4, the big riser: business, and then everything else. 4 paragraphs, around 215 words. Paragraph 1. The table compares the percentages of the male and female workforces employed across 6 sectors of the New Zealand economy in 1993 and 2003. Notice what changed from the prompt: shows becomes compares, employment patterns becomes percentages of the workforces employed. The years stay exactly as they are. Never paraphrase a number. Paragraph 2, the overview. Overall, the employment patterns of the 2 sexes converged considerably over the decade, as the sectors that had dominated each group in 1993 both contracted sharply while business expanded to become a leading employer of women and men alike. Building nonetheless remained male territory throughout. 2 sentences, not 1 figure between them, and the examiner already knows the whole story. Paragraph 3. In 1993, the 2 workforces were strongly segregated. Services and transport occupied 53% of working women but only 22% of men. while agriculture accounted for 38% of male employment against just 8% of female. 10 years later, the figures had moved towards each other. The female share of services and transport had fallen to 36% as the male share rose to 31%, and agriculture had contracted to 8% of men and 6% of women. Paragraph 4. The steepest rise was in business, which climbed from 1% to 22% among women and from 7 to 25% among men, becoming the second largest employer of each. Manufacturing, by contrast, halved for women from 25 to 12%, but barely moved for men 16 to 17%. Social services grew for both sexes while remaining female-leaning 18% against 9%, and building stayed male-dominated, although the female share rose from 0 to 6%. Here is the complete answer on one slide. 215 words, comfortably inside the band 9 range of 150 to 250. Pause the video and read it through as a whole. Notice how every sector appears exactly once and how the sectors are grouped by behavior rather than by their order in the table. Here is the language bank from this answer. Learn these in groups, not as single words. Proportion language, convergence language, sharp change, little change, contrast, and persistence. If you can rotate through 6 families like these, you will never repeat the word increase again. Why this reaches band 9. Task achievement. A clear figure-free overview, features selected and grouped, and every figure accurate. Coherence and cohesion, sectors grouped by behavior with controlled referencing. Lexical resource, precise and varied. And grammatical range, complex sentences used naturally. One honest caveat. This assessment reflects an internal quality check against the public ielts band descriptors. It is not a certified examiner score. Now it is your turn. Write your own overview in 2 sentences with no figures allowed. Then write body 2, grouping the sectors a different way. Post it in the comments and I will read it. If this helped, subscribe to BMaster79 for more band 9 walkthroughs. See you in the next one.